Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. Hey guys, Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not an expert to your own research. Okay, so what the fuck is happening here? The market is absolutely dumping right now, and it looks like everything is capitulating. We don't know where everything is going to go. Is this a bear market? This is just going to be me giving you my overall thoughts on where the market is headed, if this is a bear market, and what I expect going forward. So what can we see right here? This is BTC USD on the 1 day. We saw this big wick down on May 19th down to 28K. That was a capitulation wick where everybody got liquidated. And price has stayed in this range for the last month. And there's a lot of choppy price action overall. And what we saw was a recent move up to the range highs around 40.6K. And then a swift reversal. So there's obviously in the short term, price does not look very good right now. I mean, that's undeniable. Like there's decent sell volume coming in. This supply or this demand area around 31K, this is getting tapped over and over again. And as I always say in previous videos, the more times that price taps resistance or support, the weaker and weaker those levels get. Now, from a context standpoint, this area, when it's tapping these areas in such a short amount of time, it's less dangerous or less scary, so to speak, than if we see multiple taps of this level over longer durations. So meaning back in 2018 in the bear market, we saw the 6K level get tapped excuse me, over and over and over again. And as I always say, it's like a bouncing rubber ball where each tap gets weaker and weaker. That's what we saw. But the difference between this price action and what we currently are seeing is that there are longer stretches in between each bounce, and that's just like a weakening demand zone. Whereas right now, this is more of like consolidation. Now, again, I'm not saying this is like necessarily bullish by any means, but you saw the same consolidation back in January of 2021, for example, where this demand area around 30,000 or 29,000 kept getting tapped over and over again, and price bounced very significantly after that. Now, of course, the market context and the environment is way different than back in January of 2021. This right here is not the same as in January 2021, but what I just wanted to highlight was that even though this kept tapping the demand zone, price was able to move up. But this tapping of the demand zone is different than what we saw in 2018. And that's what we're seeing right now too, is we're seeing consistent tapping of this demand zone. And you already saw the previous demand zone around 34K fall through. And this 31K area is next. So if you scroll down to lower time frame charts, I mean, we are seeing high sell volume, the highest that we've seen in almost 1 month, which is impressive on the 4 hour, for the 4 hour candles. And I personally am expecting to see this 31K area tapped. There likely is going to be some buy side liquidity right underneath these current lows around 31K. I expect there to be a short-term bounce. I don't know if this is going to fully bounce all the way up, but we will see. I do expect this to hit at least 35,000 in the short term. After that, I'm not really sure. There's like all sorts of different scenarios that I've expected. And if you've been following my videos the last few weeks, you know that I have been very strongly, I have a strong conviction that this 45K area to $50,000 area will get tapped in the coming weeks. Currently, my bias is still that. Even with as shitty as this looks, I'm still of the opinion that this is going to short squeeze up and go to $45,000 to $50,000. Again, I feel that there's more liquidity up there. This hasn't been tapped in over a month. And given the context of those liquidations, I felt that there's going to be max pain going higher. But as of right now, my patience is getting tested. My idea is getting threatened over and over, and I'm not exactly sure anymore. However, I still am of the belief that $45,000 to $50,000 is the next big move up. I would be surprised if 28K gets taken out and if price starts closing below that on high time frame charts. Now, there's a big difference, in my opinion, if we see something like this, or we see a wick down and then like a swift reversal. Like, that's entirely possible, like a swift move down to 25,000 and then a move up. But if price starts closing below these levels on the daily, then I think it's going to be very ugly. I think like 20,000 or something like that is probably the next area up, and then like we're just maybe in a prolonged bear market. I still believe that we are in a bull market myself. There are a few reasons for this, which I'll go into later on. But as of right now, I still believe that this 28K area will relatively hold in the short term. Like, if price just starts nuking down and going into 20,000 from here, I would be pretty surprised myself, just because I personally felt that like 45 to 50,000, there's just like, I just feel like there's so much more liquidity up there that wants to be tapped. But, you know, again, I am prepared to be wrong if like 28K gets broken on high time frame charts. And I did take a trade last week, or not last week, last week, where I started to long around 26 to 27K, and I was very wrong on that. I used these moving averages, EMAs, as my entry points, and clearly I was incorrect on that. So kind of just like waiting in general. I'm looking to buy actually a scalp around $30,000 and looking targeting like the 35K area myself. But other than that, I'm still waiting to see if these lows get tested. But I'm still of the opinion that 45 to 50,000 is like the next big move up. I still feel confident about that, although, as I said, my confidence is being tested over and over the last few days because this selling has been pretty brutal. Altcoins haven't really done well at all, of course, if you've seen the altcoin market. That said, the altcoin market has obviously fallen much more than BTC, so the amount of pain in the short term that it can have is probably not going to be as pronounced. With that said, like, you know, they could easily still go another 20 to 30% negative from these current levels. So be sure to always keep that in mind. Why I don't think that we're in a prolonged bear market myself. Again, like, it could just be done. Like, maybe this is like the right shoulder. Like, maybe we see something like this where you see left shoulder, big head, and then like a right shoulder right here, and then just like prices nukes lower. But again, I just am so strongly of the opinion that 45 to 50,000 is going to get tapped, just for like a lot of reasons. But I'm prepared to be wrong. If this area does get lost around 28K on high time frame charts, then I do believe that like the next base would be like $20,000. But is this a bear market or a bull market? I mean, to me, this still seems okay. There's a few reasons for that. Number one, price is consolidating right now. It still is in a range. You know, that much I believe is true. Like, you saw this current range high around 40,000, and we saw these lows around 31 to 28K. This is kind of like the overall range that we're in right now. And until those 28K levels get broken, then I feel that this is still just a ranging, and I feel this is the short-term bottom. Now, compare that to some of the other bear markets before. Like, you know, back in 2019, this was its own market cycle. This was obviously a really nasty period where we saw just relentless selling. To me, this is the kind of bear market that I'm used to. Like, if you look at these candles, it's just like a negative like 1 to 5% like every single day, and it just keeps happening over and over again. And you see these slight consolidation periods, you know, for like a month, where you'll have like lower highs being tested and then further dumps. But in general, this is this is what a bear market really looks like, is where you just see relentless small selling, relatively little volatility for most of it. Like, you can see, like, you know, these small candles overall, just not much volatility. And then you'll see these big wicks down. So you'll see like small volatility, consistent negative 1 to 5% days, and then like a big nuke. Consistent 1 to 5 days, and then a big nuke. This was the China pump, and then you get right back to the selling, negative 1 to 5% every day. This is what a prolonged bear market looks like. Again, in 2018, you can see, you just see like these small little small candles with like not much volatility, just consistent negative 1 to 5% days, followed by like some big nukes down, followed by like some bearish retests too. Like you'll see like these little bearish retests where price just makes lower highs. So anyways, contrast these charts in 2018 and 2019 to the current charts, where we see this right here. This is like still, in my opinion, like a relative range. Like, you know, there's still a lot of volatility, and we're seeing, in my opinion, just like a short-term bottom form. Like this to me doesn't seem like a full-on bear market yet. Now, if 28K gets broken on high time frame charts, then I must admit that this is like going to look very bad. And at that point, like, you know, it's just like maybe just a confirmed long bear market, and we're just done for a while. And it's also important to also understand that when I say bear market and bull market, it all depends on the context of what you're talking about. On the daily, this is undeniably a bearish trend right now. Like you're seeing lower highs, you're seeing lower lows. These are characteristics of a bearish environment. On the weekly, I mean, doesn't look super great, but like you could argue this is still like a low forming right now, and so it's somewhat unclear to me. Like this was like kind of the low here, and right now price is currently forming another low. Now, and like overall, like the monthly just like looks pretty bad. This is just really ugly in my opinion. This is not bullish in my opinion at all. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that bullish and bearish, when you talk from a contextual environment standpoint, it all just depends. Like, you know, you could go on like the 5-minute and maybe it's like a bullish market structure because it's making like higher highs and higher lows. But again, if you like zoom out a little bit, then you clearly cannot see that. But on lower time frames, I mean, this just looks pretty bearish to me, in my opinion. So what am I trying to say here is I'm trying to say that to me, this is not a bearish market, or this is not a bearish overall macro trend until 28K gets lost. And if it gets wicked under, then that's like, and rebounds pretty quickly with like high buy volume, then I will assume everything is still okay. But if it starts to like close like right around that area and then just like nukes lower and closes underneath on high time frame charts, then it's going to look pretty bad in my opinion. So those are kind of my overall thoughts on Bitcoin. Like I still think that 45 to 50,000 is going to be the next big move up. With that said, I am expecting 28K to hold. If price wicks underneath and then follows through upward, then I will think it's still okay. With that said, if price starts to like nuke lower and like move very strongly with high sell volume, then I think price is just going to be done for a while. Like maybe we just see 20K for like a while and price just consolidates there. But I'm still of the belief that something like this will happen, where like we'll see like a wick down and then we'll like go up to 50,000 and then form some sort of lower high and then like a higher low eventually. Something like this would make some sense to me. Like, you know, we just chop around for a while. This would be healthy in my opinion if we saw something like this. Now, what are my thoughts on altcoins? Altcoins just like look really bad. Like I think it's hard to defend. I mean, here's ETH BTC. ETH BTC is a good macro indicator for the market. And to me, it just looks like it's going to 0.55 at a minimum. And then maybe even lower, like 0.46. Depends on like the big move down. I do believe that it will form a higher low, because this is the low right here back in March of 2021, back at 0.32. I think it's going to do something like this, where it'll like bounce around here and then like just consolidate and then probably continue its bullish trend. But I do believe that there's more short-term pain for alt BTC pairs for sure, and for alt USD pairs. I mean, alt USD pairs just look horrific. We can use something like Luna as an example. This is the one that I've been citing a lot lately. I was like still of the opinion that, like, you know, this will squeeze up, maybe not this high, like up to 14, but I did think that this was going to go to like I did think it was going to go to at least like 10. So maybe like it'll not reach that. Maybe it'll go something like this. Like we'll hit $10 and then come down. But and this was like more of the idea that Bitcoin was going to go to 45,000 first for its next big move. And yeah, this is kind of like my overall thoughts still for altcoins. Like altcoin charts still look destroyed though. Like you see this like big wick down. Price needs to accumulate for quite some time before it recovers. And there's a lot of different accumulation patterns that you can see out there. And this to me, like, you know, you could maybe argue this is accumulation, like volume is diminishing, which is a good thing. You'll just want more of a ranging environment. Usually after you see these big moves down or up, you'll need to see price just like chop around for a while. And that's kind of what these coins are doing. But I still am of the belief that Bitcoin is going to go to 45 to 50,000 in the next big move. And then alts will follow. Like for instance, alts should outperform Bitcoin given how much they've fallen in the short term. And then after Bitcoin pulls back, alts will just like die like way harder than Bitcoin as well. So those are kind of my overall macro thoughts on Bitcoin. As a summary, I can just say is that I do believe that the 28K lows will hold, and I think that the next big move up will be to $45,000-$50,000. Overall sentiment is just very bearish right now. Now, I'm not saying this is going to go full on reverse like 60-something K. I'd be very, 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 very surprised if that were to happen. But I think 45,000 is like quite possible in the next few weeks, and I still hold that bias. So anyways, I know this is a little bit long, but thank you guys for watching. Good luck.